In this video, I'll be counting down the top 10 all-time Ultra League Pokemon in Pokemon Go. Among the 3 leagues of the Go Battle League, the Ultra League is often overlooked. It's not as accessible as the Great League, and the Stardust investment is typically much higher. However, there's certainly a group of players out there who prefer it over the Great League and Master League. The number of Pokemon that are viable for the Ultra League is pretty small compared to the Great League, but it is still quite robust and full of iconic Pokemon. In fact, there's probably some really good ones in your collection right now, and you are not aware of it. So if you want to know what the best Pokemon are for the Open Ultra League and Premier Ultra League, then stick around because I'll be going over the best of the best. Also, be sure to comment below what you are running for the Ultra League. Okay, so with that said, let's get right into it. Coming in at number 10, we have Talonflame. This flying and fire type Pokemon is an absolute menace for the Ultra League. For anyone who has ever faced Talonflame in battle, they would know that this Pokemon is an offensive powerhouse. Ever since it got a community day, Talonflame has been a staple of the Ultra League. It has probably one of the strongest movesets in the game, and very few Pokemon are able to deal with it. The combination of Incinerate with Flame Charge and Brave Bird will allow you to dominate most Pokemon. Even if they have a type advantage against Talonflame, you can still beat them down because of the high energy generation of Incinerate and the ramping attack damage of Flame Charge. Brave Bird is also one of the strongest nukes in the game, and any Pokemon without shields runs the risk of getting one-shot. Talonflame is also one of the rare instances where it will be just under the 2500 CP limit for the Ultra League when you completely max it out to level 50. Getting yourself a 100% IV and powering it up as far as you can go will bring it to 2493. That's as good as it gets for the Ultra League. Next on this list is going to be Trevenant. Much like within the Great League, Trevenant finds itself being super relevant in the Ultra League as well. It is a hard counter to much of the top Pokemon, and it has incredible versatility. This Pokemon can be incredibly pesky to deal with, and not a lot of Pokemon can do so effectively. What's really frightening about this Pokemon is how much damage it can deal in a short period of time. It comes with the very powerful fast attack Shadow Claw, which generates a ton of energy, while also dealing an insane amount of damage per second, and Shadow Ball, which is one of the hardest hitting ghost type attacks in the game. Pair that up with Seed Bomb, a great type coverage move that can spam for maximum damage, and you got yourself one of the biggest threats in the Go Battle League. Now coming in at number 8 is the hard counter to Trevenant, and it is Togekiss. In the early days of the Go Battle League, having a Togekiss on your team was essential. This flying and fairy type Pokemon is an absolute monster for the Ultra League. It has incredible damage pressure with its fast attack alone, and it has some great type coverage with its charge attacks. Togekiss with Charm, Ancient Power, and Flamethrower can be a major threat. You will want to make sure you have an answer to this Pokemon in case you come across it. While this Pokemon hasn't been at the top of the meta in a while, it is still a worthy inclusion on this list. It still makes common appearances, especially in the Ultra Premier League. If you run with this Pokemon, even in the current meta, you are sure to find some success. If you can catch out your opponents with this Pokemon, it is almost a surefire win. Next up on this list is yet another timeless staple for the Ultra League, and it is Snorlax. One of the bulkiest Pokemon in the game makes it onto this list, but it's not the reason why it's one of the best. Snorlax may have the appearance of a tank, but it's actually one of the most well-rounded Pokemon in the Ultra League. That is because it has access to some of the best fast attacks for quick damage, and it is a formidable counter to some of the best Ultra League Pokemon. Remember Trevenant from earlier in this list? Snorlax will absolutely manhandle it. Even some of the Pokemon higher up on this list will not be able to take down a Snorlax. Needless to say, you really want to have this Pokemon if you want to get ahead in the Ultra League. Now coming in at number 6, we have Cresselia. The first legendary Pokemon to make an appearance on this list is going to be none other than the Psychic type Cresselia. For anyone who is familiar with this Pokemon from the Great League, they would know that Cresselia has incredible bulk and a lot of versatility. It is especially strong against some of the top meta Pokemon within the Ultra League, and it has very few counters that you'll need to watch out for. I mentioned how this Pokemon has incredible versatility. Well, that is because of the various moves you can bring. You can run Psycho Cut, Grass Knot, and Moonblast, but you could also use Aurora Beam for some type coverage. Overall, this Pokemon is just great for getting ahead. Coming in at number 5, we got Obstagoon. Now this dark type was not a top tier Pokemon until recently. After receiving a Community Day, Obstagoon is by far one of the top picks for the Ultra League. The exclusive move that it got was its signature move Obstruct, and this move is a huge difference maker. Obstruct doesn't cost a lot of energy, it raises Obstagoon's defense, and it lowers the opponent's defense. This sort of utility makes Obstagoon an absolute menace in the Ultra League. You can use it to bait out shields and draw out the battle longer than it has to. If your opponent can't take down Obstagoon in time, you can single-handedly win with this one move alone. Next up at number 4 on this list is the Water and Ground type Pokemon, Swampert. Here is a Pokemon that has always been among the top picks in the Ultra League, regardless of the meta. The reason for this is pretty simple. Swampert has one of the strongest move combos with Mud Shot and Hydro Cannon. It also has the capability to win most duels because of its high spammability of its charge attacks. I also love the versatility of this Pokemon, and you can slot it into pretty much any team. You can cater its second charge attack to fit your team's needs. If you need coverage against steel types, you can use Earthquake. If you need more variety, especially against all the fairy and grass types in the meta, go with Sludge Bomb. You really can't go wrong with this Pokemon. It is absolutely a big threat against most opponents. Okay, next on our list is another legendary Pokemon as well as a recent addition to the Ultra League meta. It is the grass and fighting type Pokemon, Virizion. After this Pokemon received the move Double Kick, it quickly became one of the best Pokemon for the Ultra League. It has an extremely rare type combination of grass and fighting, which gives it a huge advantage over most Pokemon. Not only does it resist several different types out there, but it can be effective against most types as well. It is incredible as a lead, it's extremely bulky, and it even has a spammable moveset that adds a ton of shield pressure. Overall, this Pokemon is the full package when it comes to the Ultra League, and it will most certainly be a mainstay for several seasons to come. Alright, now we've reached the runner-up Pokemon on this list, and it is going to be Giratina Altered Form. This legendary Ghost and Dragon-type Pokemon is infamous within the Ultra League. When the Go Battle League first arrived, having this particular Pokemon was absolutely essential as it was extremely powerful and practically built for the Ultra League. Nowadays, it may not be as uncontested as it once was, as plenty of hard counters to this Pokemon rose in the ranks. However, it is still one of the best Pokemon you could use, and is still consistently part of the meta. It's an incredibly well-rounded Pokemon that can be used as a lead, switch, or closer. This is because it has a really pesky moveset that's really hard to deal with, and it has amazing bulk and advantageous typing. Longtime veterans of the Go Battle League will tell you just how strong this Pokemon is. If you want to take the Ultra League seriously, then you must prioritize getting a viable Giratina as soon as possible. So now we've reached the end of this list, but before we get to the number 1 all-time Ultra League Pokemon, we should first go over some honorable mentions. Since this list only features 10 Pokemon, there are going to be some notable omissions that are deserving to be on this list. The first of these is going to be the iconic Dragonite. When it comes to the Ultra Premier League, this Pokemon is definitely at the top of the list. Dragonite is built as an offensive powerhouse, with a damage per second fast attack in Dragon Breath, spammable charge attacks in Dragon Claw and Superpower, and a bunch of hard-hitting nuke charge attacks in Draco Meteor, Hurricane, and Outrage. You can cheese a few wins with Dragonite even in the Open Ultra League, especially if you're using the Shadow version. The next honorable mention has to be the grass version of Swampert, and it is Venusaur. While this Pokemon may not rank high in the meta, it is still an absolute unit for the Ultra League. When it comes to grass type or poison type attackers, very few Pokemon will be able to rival Venusaur. Finally, the last honorable mention is going to be the fighting type Pokemon, Machamp. With the moveset Counter, Cross Chop, and Rock Slide, you can easily bait out your opponent's shields and deal a lot of damage to some of the top meta picks. While it won't perform extremely well within the Open Ultra League, it could be a really powerful pick for the Ultra Premier League. You will likely encounter it quite often there, so you should be prepared. Okay, now we are finally at the number 1 all-time Ultra League Pokemon, and it is going to be none other than Registeel. So this Steel-type legendary Pokemon is the best of the best for several reasons. In terms of its stats, it is extremely bulky and powerful. no other Pokemon within the league can match Registeel in terms of well-roundedness. Of course, the one caveat is that this Pokemon lacks fast move damage pressure, since its best fast move is Lock On, which generates an insane amount of energy without dealing any damage. This is okay, however, because where Registeel really shines is the charge attacks in its arsenal. You can also count on this Pokemon being completely future-proof. Barely any Pokemon will come along that will do what Registeel does, and even fewer will be able to counter it. The issue with this Pokemon is its availability, as it is extremely difficult to get one with the right IVs, as you will likely have to do several special trades. But if you manage to pull off getting a Registeel with decent PvP IVs, you will pretty much be set for life in the Ultra League. Alright, and that will conclude this list video. Now there are obviously plenty of Pokemon that are deserving to be on this list that didn't make this video. Thus, if I excluded your favorite Pokemon for the Ultra League, definitely say which one in the comments below, and let's have a great discussion. And if you ended up enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here, and don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then be sure to check out the links in the description below. For all of my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way, like with remote raids, then do consider becoming a patron on my Patreon. But yeah, that's going to be it. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.